Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ali after back with a brand new video. Today I want to address something very important, and that's the subject of debt collectors, but in a way that we can identify inaccuracies within the credit reports and how to leverage this information so that we can move forward with the type of things that we need to do. The most important thing when it comes to dealing with debt collectors is you absolutely do not want to ignore their phone calls, because one of the most important things you'll need to do in the initial communication is to let them know your intent to communicate by writing. What happens is a lot of people ignore this concept, and what ends up happening is they actually completely ignore the phone calls and the debt collection attempts, including documentation. And this actually leads them to continuously running around attempting to get this thing resolved. But in actuality, what ends up happening is you actually get stuck with a bad debt, and that can actually get transferred from one credit report to the other. And then multiple companies can actually come across and be created because that debt is being transferred and bought from one transaction to another, and yet, and so on and so forth. So communicate by understanding the importance of letting them know that you want everything in writing. That's the first thing you absolutely need to address, because that's the thing that's actually going to help you position yourself to essentially collect any type of evidence that relays back to you that that debt that they have on you is potentially fraudulent and, of course, potentially not collectible. But you need to arm yourself properly in order to do so. And the best way to arm yourself is to expand, your process of communicating with that debt collector and telling them that you only plan on communicating with them only if it's in writing. And that's the most important thing you need to do when it comes to debt collectors. The other thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to debt collectors, and this one's actually critical, is when you identify this debt collector the first time on your credit reports, or perhaps it's their first time communicating with you and they're perhaps not yet on your credit reports, the most important thing to note here, and it's important, is that they need to understand that when they're actually communicating to you while reporting to the credit bureaus, that actually is consistent of what we call a collection activity. Now, you want to listen to this very important topic, is because a lot of people don't realize this, but when a debt collector initially communicates with you, they have to give you a statement stating that you have X amount of days that you can actually dispute this debt, or that, they have this amount of days to fight it off, or, whether accept or not accept, and you can dispute the actual debt that they actually allege that you owe. Now, during this time and process, it's very important that while they're doing this, and if you do request validation, they can go ahead and start reporting to the bureaus, because that actually consists of a collection activity. Now, this is important to understand, is because collection activity, normally what people think of collection activity is when the debt collectors call you or they send you a document and they say, look, we want to collect, or you owe us this kind of money. But the reality is, and courts have deemed this to be the truth, is that when they're reporting to the bureaus, as part of communicating to the bureaus that a debt is owed, that in its activity, that itself consists of a collection activity. So when a customer requests the debt to be validated, and during that 30-day cycle where they have that timeline in order to give the proper documentation, of course, with a lot of different things that we can typically ask, including quick claim language, accounting documentation, the creation of the instrument, the transfer details between the original creditor and them, and what kind of liabilities they carry, and so on and so forth. That's additional documentation. But what I'm saying is, within that 30-day timeline, while you're going to ask for all this type of thing, the reports with the creditor, reporting agencies, the creditor, which is in this case the debt collector, cannot have their information listed, because that would consist of a collection activity, which in reality is a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the FDCPA for short. So what we need to understand here is we need to use this as a tool to help us advance our agenda when it comes to getting that dreaded debt collector off your credit reports. So when you go ahead and write a document to the debt collectors, make sure that you include this information that, hey, look, I'm very much aware that you're trying to attempt to collect this alleged debt. And my interest here is to ensure that everything that you're reporting is accurate, and whatever you say that I owe this alleged debt, that it can be certified truthfully, that it is actually my obligation. So within that, what happens is you also have to let them know that in addition to that, if you report to the bureaus, do know that it consists of a collection activity, and you will be liable under the FDCPA, and I will bring full force of the law against you if you decide to ignore this. while this debt is still being validated. Until such point that I accept this, you cannot report to the bureaus. This is important language that you have to communicate in your letter, because it is something within your documents that needs to communicate back to the debt collector that you're fully aware of your rights and that you need to exercise that right to the full capacity that you have in order to get the resolution, in order to get the best outcome possible. So I hope that this quick, short video gave you some idea of some of the ways to deal with debt collectors and understanding the fine details of what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do, specifically when it comes to credit reporting, and more specifically when it comes to, handling the communication with the debt collectors and what you need to include in that communication guidelines so that you can get the best results on getting that established and removed. So I hope that you guys follow the advice given in this video. Again, if you're new to the channel, just to let you know, here we talk about personal credit, building wealth, and establishing your finances strong. If this is something that you're interested in, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe, smash that thumbs up. So every time you see these videos and you share that video, other people such as yourself can benefit from this. And don't forget to turn the notifications on to all. So when you do this, when videos come up, you will be the first to know and you won't miss every single video that I put out, including some of the live streams that I'll be doing coming soon, in addition to the premieres where I'll have the ability to chat with you directly as the video is playing. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any specific questions in reference to the process that I just explained about debt collectors in this video, I'm going to strongly encourage you to go ahead and let me know below the video so that we can communicate and have a conversation to give you the clarity that you need. And with that said, this is your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafter. Definitely catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.